Peter, it was even more impressive. Wow. Really, it was, I saw it 4 times, I went always back to that. And I paid an extra 1,000 euro for that, and cannot even deduct it from EGS, you know, and privately. But it was worth it, because here, the first time, the film cannot really match it.
Exactly.
No way.
And isn't it difficult to explain it to people? It's very difficult to explain what we've done. And of course, the Night Watch is 4 times as big as this. And, ladies and gentlemen, it's the real Night Watch. Because people said, where is the Night Watch? Is it down? It can't possibly be the Night Watch, can it? You've burnt it, you've flooded it, you've covered it in blood, you've given it temporality, and you've given it a soundtrack. Surely you're not allowed to do these things on this major, major Western icon. Surely the painting must have been buried down in the basement, or more likely it probably exists somewhere in a Japanese bank. But I assure you, and I assure them, it was the real painting. So you can see, first of all, I think the extraordinary courage, in a sense, of the people who own this. This is, you know, the supreme visual image of notions of what the Dutch called gezellig, the sort of solidarity of the Dutch people. It really does represent them. I'm told that you know about the Marshall Plan at the end of the Second World War, where America fed money back into Europe to recreate the revitalization of all the countries. Of course, he did the same with Holland. And I think for 4 years, the Americans poured masses and masses and masses and millions of dollars into Holland. And Holland got very scared, because how could they possibly pay off this huge debt? One day the local president, I can't remember which president of America it was, what must this be, 48, 49, said, okay, we will forgive you the debt if you give us the Night Watch. And happily, of course, the Dutch said, no, you're not going to have that. We're going to be wretchedly poor for another 20 years, but we'll pay off the debt first. This shows you some indication of how valuable this painting is to the Dutch. And again, it cannot be insured. It is not insured. You know, people have come up with extraordinary figures. You know, it's worth 10 United States aircraft carriers. Impossible figures even to imagine. So to be allowed, as it were, to play, I hope very intelligently, very excitedly, with this very extraordinary phenomenon, and a great, great honour and privilege. Just to tell you about one or two of the strategies, it obviously goes, in a sense, a day in the life of. We start with the cock crow, and we have to arch our way through storms and all those sorts of things. But I don't know whether you know, but the national emblem of Amsterdam, the 3 crosses, the 3 crosses of St. Anthony. And although various Dutchmen will give you different interpretations, the basic one represents flood, fire, and pestilence, the 3 things that Amsterdam has always been frightened of. Flood, self-evidently, we talked about that. In 1640s, it's mainly a wooden city, so they're shit scared of fire all the time. There's a fire happening every 3 days somewhere in the city. And of course, pestilence, it's a port. Throughout the whole of the 17th century, the Black Rat, probably from Turkey, is visiting constantly. And I think there's a cycle every 3 years of an eruption of a plague in that part of the world. I suppose the most famous one is in 1665, which virtually wipes out half the population of London, for example, and certainly is responsible for killing Rembrandt's son Titus, and is responsible for killing his 3rd consort, Henrique. So the fear then of flood, and you can see the rain we've represented, and the fire, self-evidently, and also maybe a little more sort of dubious is the notion of the pestilence, and you can see the blood flooding across the bottom of the picture. In this obligation to get people to look at it again, I would like to imagine you think in some way we've accepted and maybe even overstepped our brief. There are 2 sorts of ideas going on here. First of all, a somewhat illusionistic one, by showing the composition of the light and the variable way in which Rembrandt staged the figures. And obviously at the end with this silhouetting, which is a different sort of trope, a different sort of paradigm, to make a demonstration of how the painting is working two-dimensionally with its extended perspective lines and so on. All these militia paintings had four major figures. The captain, who is the very large figure in the middle of the painting dressed in black, a lieutenant, who's the gentleman currently in this painting standing beside him, a sergeant at arms, who's a man actually called Kemp, who's over on the far side, and the flag bearer, a man called Bishop. And there's a way, again, we've monochromized the painting in order to make a demonstration of these five major figures. There are other sorts of little games being played as well. Just to recapitulate one more time, let's show it to you again. Hear me?